Savannah Giammarco is a red carpet correspondent and a journalist and a model, and she's our very special guest on this episode of Messier Mantra. Savannah, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
And I said your name right?
You did, you got it. You got my big, long Italian name. I'm so proud.
Are you 100% Italian?
I'm 100% Italian, and I'm actually first generation in this country, so.
Well, that's pretty exciting. So tell me a little bit about your family background. Did your parents move to this country from Italy? Tell me about it.
Yeah, so my entire family is composed of Italian immigrants. My family is from Abruzzo and Napoli, so a little bit, pretty close, but not exactly. So like I said, I'm first generation. I'm actually going through the process of getting my Italian citizenship.
Wow.
So by 2021, I should be an Italian and an American citizen. And it's just been such a great upbringing for me. I love the close family values and how everybody is just so close, and how, you know, loyalty and family is number one above everything. And I think that that's not only important in a family dynamic or a friendship dynamic, I think that that's something that everybody should value above all.
Have you ever been able to go to Italy, Savannah?
I have.
What's that been like?
Oh my gosh, Italy is so gorgeous. The food is unreal. I actually got to study abroad in Florence last semester as an alternative spring break trip. So that was an amazing opportunity to see Italy not from just a familial perspective, but also from an academic perspective.
Right.
So it was my class, my professor, and we went to Florence, and we learned a lot about the architecture and how, you know, the food culture kind of developed. And I actually learned that tomatoes are not from Italy.
Where are they from?
Tomatoes are actually from the New World, so America, and they were shipped over to Europe. And it's so interesting to think about, because the first thing you think of when you think Italian food is pasta and red sauce.
Of course.
And the tomato is a staple in the Italian diet, so.
Do you say sauce or gravy?
I say sauce. People say gravy, and it grinds my nerves.
Is that a Rhode Island thing, the gravy thing?
That's like a southern Connecticut, Rhode Island.
Oh my gosh.
The gravy, the Sunday sauce, the moots. No, it's mozzarella, it's not moots. The manigot, no, it's manigot.
I haven't heard the moots one. What's that? That's the cheese?
That's probably like a New Haven Italian thing, but that is mozzarella. That's what you put on your food. It's
Right.
not moots. I don't know what moots is. It drives me nuts. It drives me up a wall.
That's funny. Well, I'm glad that you're on the show, and I want to give you a special thanks, because we're kind of suffering through the repercussions of, was it Hurricane Florence?
Yes, Hurricane Florence. It's happening.
Yeah.
Right here.
Yeah, and we're getting the afterburn, so to speak, or the after flooding. So thanks to you, and your mom actually was very nice to bring you up here. So give her a shout out.
Mama G for making the drive with me.
Yeah, and so you're still taking classes in college while you're doing all this stuff, which is very impressive. And you told me you're studying journalism with an Italian minor. Is that right?
Yes. So I'm a 4+1 journalism MBA student. So right now I'm technically undergrad and graduate status. So trying to balance that with life, and I'm also a competitive horseback rider, is a little bit challenging, but I love the challenge and I accept it every single day. I chose the Italian minor not only because of my heritage, but I do speak the language at home. And I thought that it would be really interesting to not only have that background, but to be able to speak it in a professional manner as well.
How did you get in? Is it equestrian? Is that what you do?
Equestrian, yeah, that's like the fancy word for it. But I horseback ride, so.
How did you get involved in that? Where was that interest come from, and how did that develop with you?
So one of my best friends growing up actually started riding horses, and my whole life I've been an animal person. I'm that crazy person that sees a dog across the street and runs to it, and everyone looks at you like, what are you doing?
What are you doing with that strange dog? Yeah.
What's that strange girl doing with that dog? That's me. So if you ever see me on the street, don't think I'm crazy. But I've always had this draw to animals, and so when my friend asked me to come watch her ride, I sat on her horse for a little while, and my dad's like, you know, would you want to start horseback riding lessons? And I'm like, yeah. I think it might be a viable option. And so I ended up taking horseback riding lessons, and my dad got super into it right from the beginning, and my coach sized him up in a second and said, don't go out and buy her horse. This is an expensive sport, it takes a lot of time and a lot of dedication, and it's not easy. Make sure she sticks with it.
So next week he bought you a horse.
The next week I had a horse. And we actually found out that the horse my dad bought was an abused ranch horse that was actually going to go off to slaughter if he didn't purchase him.
Oh my goodness.
So we named him Luigi in the true Italian fashion.
Sure.
And it was just such a great experience to rehab him and to see him grow and develop. When I got him, he was emaciated. You could tell he had been beaten. He had a chunk of his tongue that had gone missing, probably from misuse of something that we call twitch. And just seeing how afraid he was to even get near him. If you try to touch his face, he would try to pick you up and slam you against a wall. And then he actually just passed away a few months ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
But seeing him throughout his whole life and his progression, and literally holding him in my arms in the last moments of his life, was probably, in a not morbid sense, one of the most beautiful experiences of my life, to see something come full circle like that and see this tortured creature live a happy, long life. He was 34 when he passed.
Wow.
And just, see him go so peacefully in the end was beautiful.
34 in human years.
34 in human years. Horses usually live like early 20s, so
wow.
He was an old man. You know how they say that they don't make things like they used to?
Right.
That was my Lou.
So that's pretty fascinating, and congratulations or thanks to your parents for really providing Luigi with you in a great home. And did you keep him at a stable or at your own home, like in the backyard? How did that work? Yeah,
so originally when we got him, we boarded him at a barn. I was learning to ride on him. He was my first horse, so like the very basic things, like how to walk, how to trot. And so once we realized his age, because when my dad bought him, he thought he was 10 years old. Come to find out, he was 21 years old.
Wow.
So
at that age that most horses don't even live to.
Exactly. So once we found out and kind of learned what his limitations were and that he didn't know much because he didn't have a formal equestrian training, he was just kind of like, kick and go herd the sheep, old man. So
right.
At that point, we ended up bringing him to my house, actually, and he lived in my backyard, and he was the neighborhood favorite. I live in an older community, so all the old people would kind of like come and walk and pet him and bring him carrots, and he was living his best life.
I'm glad to hear that, because years ago in Rhode Island, there was a controversial story. A kid had like a mini horse, like a special needs kid had a mini horse as a pet, and there was another neighbor protested, and there was court involvement, all types of things. So I'm really glad to hear that your neighborhood was really rallying behind your pet horse, Luigi.
Oh my gosh, they loved him, and even now people are coming on walks and like, oh, where's Lou? And I'm like, unfortunately, he passed away. And it almost breaks my heart to tell them, but my old competition horse, Goose, who actually we had to retire because of an injury, is now at my house. So
oh, so you've got Goose now.
Right, so horses are herd animals, and they don't necessarily like to live alone. So with Luigi, we had his little buddy Dash. When Luigi passed, we had to bring somebody else to keep Dash company. So the timing actually worked out perfectly in a very morbid sense. Don't take that the wrong way.
Sure.
But it actually all worked out. And Goose is like the pet dog I never had. He's got the best personality. If you hold a treat in front of him and ask him to say please, he'll literally hold his leg up, and you can tell him which leg you want held up. And so it's really cool to have him now in my home and be able to go out, and he'll hear my car come in the driveway and he'll like run to the fence. It's really cute.
Goose has his own pet horse because there's two horses.
There's Goose and Dash.
Okay, so Dash.
So they're friends now.
Interesting, very interesting. Okay. Oh, so Dash was with
Luigi, and then when Luigi passed, we had to bring somebody to
you got to put over Dash too.
company.
I mean, Dash has been here for a while. I mean, geez.
Dash is my baby. I got him when he was very young, so I got to see him come along as well and raise him and see all his milestones and see him during his little gangly stage.
That's great.
I love that. I'm itching to get another baby horse.
We have some photographs of your multifaceted career, which I think our producer Kevin will hook up. Here we go. And here's Sweeney Photography, our mutual friend Ryan Sweeney, with a really interesting shot.
The legend.
And this is an interesting hairstyle. Now where is this? This is a film festival?
So this is at the Philip K. Dick Film Festival, where I actually red carpet corresponded for a film called Black Wake, which actually ended up winning one of the Film Festival awards.
Nice.
So it was a really fun experience. I got to meet some great people. There was actually some international actors involved. It was a great time. Everyone was wonderful. The movie was great. So being on the red carpet and being able to speak to people and just kind of watch all these films and see them come to life has been a really great experience.
Now this is where you and I met at the Woodhaven Media Two Cousin Productions of The Manor screening over the summer. That's Kevin Nash in the background. This is a script that I co-wrote, and I starred in this film, and you were doing really good interviews.
Thank you.
Which is why I invited you to be on this show, because I figured you'd return the favor. You gave us some nice publicity. And Ryan was, now this is an interesting shot. This is some type of modeling.
Yes, this is actually Fiona Saget Photography, and she wanted to do this conceptual photo shoot of the 7 deadly sins. So this is actually sloth.
Sure.
I got assigned sloth, and so she had this vision of just, being in this kind of rundown area, just like draped over something, just very like sloth, but kind of like a sexy sloth.
Yeah.
So this is what we put together.
And this is singing professionally for...
So this is actually me competing at the Miss Connecticut pageant, and I've been first runner-up 2 years in a row. So this is actually a still from my talent. And
Steve Smith Photography, to give him credit there.
Yes, Steve Smith, what a great guy.
And here's a nice headshot. I like this one a lot.
Thank you. Thank you. It's very simple.
Yeah. Let's check it out. Now this one, I was very curious about this photo because we'll just freeze here for a second. This one, I kind of like this behind the scenes look at what I assume is the pageant industry.
Yes.
And so I kind of dig how you've got this woman in the background who kind of looks like the wrestler Charlotte Flair to me a little bit, but it's obviously not her. Then you're on deck. I'm assuming you're on deck to go on stage, and this is the evening gown competition. I'm just guessing here, so tell me if I'm wrong.
you're doing well so far.
And then you kind of have like the backstage assistants with the person who's even behind you, like on deck to go on deck. And you can kind of just see the seriousness of everybody. This picture tells a lot of stories. Maybe tell me what's going on here, where this was and everything.
So, for sure. So this was at this past year's Miss Connecticut pageant. This is right before evening gown. You nailed it right on the head. The woman in the background is actually my good friend JoJo Shields. So shout out to JoJo. She was waiting to go on as well. So this was actually featured in Elle magazine in the past issue.
Wow.
They came out and did a story on everything that's been going on within the Miss America organization. Our leadership actually just changed. So Gretchen Carlson is the current head of the Miss America organization. She completely revamped the competition. Swimsuit has been eliminated altogether. And so now the evening gown portion is now considered red carpet, where candidates are able to kind of demonstrate their own style and their elegance on stage. But right now it's more of a scholarship focus. They want women to be able to speak their minds on educational standpoints, politics, current events. And so they're really focusing on the mind of the individual as opposed to the outward beauty.
What's your take on the swimsuit competition being eliminated? What's your opinion on it?
Well, I'm a traditionalist, and I love the glitz and glamour of pageantry, so I was very sad to see it go. I never felt degraded or demeaned by the competition. If anything, it made me feel extremely empowered. I always felt that there was some kind of confidence that you just didn't understand unless you got up on that stage in a swimsuit and said, this is who I am, I know who I am, and I am so proud of who I am. And I've had my own personal struggles with my body image in the past, and I've yo-yoed with my weight, and I've been bullied for it, and have had some what I call undiagnosed eating disorders. And so to be able to get up on that stage looking fit and healthy is the ultimate testament to what pageantry has done for me to live a healthy lifestyle.
Do you currently lift weights, yoga? What do you do for exercise?
So besides riding my horses, I love cardio. I love to run, which can be hard for me because I have a neck injury. Sometimes when I run it hurts, but I love running. I do weights. I love CrossFit. I love boot camp classes. I love spin. I just love to be active.
Can I ask what happened with the neck? Was it a car accident or something?
I was in a car accident and I got whiplash.
Oh,
and then I wasn't supposed to go back to horseback riding, but I think that I'm invincible.
Right.
And I went, and I ended up falling off in a way that kind of shifted my neck. So now instead of having a natural curvature to my neck, it's completely straight, if not inverted.
Interesting.
So now it's pinching nerves, and I have a little bit of nerve damage. So when I run, my arm kind of goes numb, and I can't really feel my fingers.
Have you seen a chiropractor?
Right now, I'm actually in the process of going to physical therapy, and I'm going to hopefully get this on the mend because I love to run, and I don't want this to have to impact my lifestyle. Look
into chiropractic. Then this is a great shot. This is a wonderful shot of you. Is this in Connecticut as well?
This is Connecticut. This is the state pageant again in my gorgeous custom Sherry Hill gown. So.
They made that just for you?
So what you do is you go into her showroom and you can try on a bunch of gowns. And we actually tweaked one of her designs a little bit. But you can see a very, very similar style actually in her latest Fashion Week.
Well, great job to her.
Thank you. This is me at Fashion Week at the Sherry Hill show.
And this is New York City?
Yes, this is New York Fashion Week. Wearing Sherry Hill at her amazing show. She's such a great designer. She has been such a joy to work with. I actually did some social media work with her and modeled on her Instagram page. Wonderful human being, extremely talented. So honored to be able to work with her.
Okay, and this is another fashion shot, I would say?
This is another modeling shot from Fadil Barisha, who is a wonderful, wonderful photographer.
Are there hair and makeup people for these shots as well?
Yes, yes. I got my hair and makeup professionally done here, and I just had such a blast. Fadil literally makes you feel like you are the most gorgeous creature in the entire world. You walk out of there like, oh, I can do anything.
Yeah, right.
He is absolutely unreal.
I dug this shot too because this guy looks like he's a filmmaker or an actor. Blood Circus. Oh, I know who this is. This was one of David Gere's discoveries, or this guy's been around the block in films.
Yeah, this is Robert Lasardo. He's actually been on a few soaps. He's a really cool guy to talk to.
Right.
He looks extremely intimidating, and he was so fun to talk to, had such a wise perspective on the questions that I were asking him. was asking him. He's very well spoken. He was definitely one of my favorite interviews. Him and Vincent Pastore, for sure, were my favorites.
Yeah, Vincent has been around The Sopranos and everything.
Yes.
And I know our buddy David's gotten those guys in these films. And so pretty interesting experiences that you've had at a young age. And
yeah, you know, just try to make it work. Try to live life to the fullest.
Now, what do you see yourself or working towards aspiring to be in the entertainment world? What do you, I mean, cover of Glamour magazine, what are some goals that you have, I have to ask?
My ultimate goal is to be on the cover of Vogue.
Okay.
I have always idolized Vogue. Anna Wintour is a genius. And just to be on that cover would just be such a testament to everything that I've done up until that point. And leading up until that point, I love red carpet corresponding. I love meeting new people, talking, hearing their stories. I love film. So it all just kind of comes together in this perfect, beautiful little package. And then besides that, I love to model. I've been doing it. You've seen some of my work.
Sure.
I just love being in front of the camera. I love the expression of it. The 7 Deadly Sins shoot that I did actually was one of my favorites. I actually have gone to Catholic school my entire life. So being able to take something that I've learned about for years and years and years and bring it to an artistic standpoint was something that was unreal to me and something that I really valued. So my goal is definitely being on the cover of Vogue. I'd love to be a red carpet correspondent on a professional level as far as like E! News. Juliana Rancic is one of my idols.
Who's that?
Juliana Rancic is actually one of the hosts of E! News, and
Okay,
she
gotcha.
took a hiatus for a bit, and now she's back, so I'm very, very excited. But she does all of the huge
But
red
you want her
carpets.
job.
I want Juliana. I'm coming for you. I am coming for you, girl. But she does like the Grammys, she does the Oscars, the Emmys, everything. So.
What do you make of, you know, maybe it's a little passé now, but back in the day, it was Joan Rivers, and I think her daughter would even do these
Yes.
kind of
Fashion police.
Fashion police, but sometimes, as an outsider to this world, it would seem a little bit cruel that they would, you know, sometimes the magazines even, like the people, they rate actors and actresses based on their dress, their attire, you know, the red carpet, they give them B+ or C- or an F, and sometimes I'm looking at these people, I'm like, man, maybe I have really bad fashion sense because I would give all these scores differently. You know what I mean? Like, because sometimes I think they have a weird thing where some people get rewarded if they wear something original or unique or outside the fashion box, so to speak. Like, oh, those white sneakers really pop for that black tuxedo. But sometimes they'll punish people if they have what they think is a passé or a cornball fashion attire. And I don't know what to make heads or tails of it, but what do you think of like the judging of celebrities for their fashion sense? Is that fair game or is that kind of cruel at times or somewhere in between?
I think that it is fair game. You know, as human nature, we judge people based on appearance, and celebrities are putting themselves out there to be judged on their outward appearance on the red carpet. I mean, essentially, the red carpet is a fashion show, in all honesty. So if you're putting yourself out there on a fashion show or a red carpet, you're going to get judged on your appearance. But I am a huge fan of Joan and Melissa Rivers. Fashion police is also something I would die to do because I would love to work in fashion. I would actually love to be in fashion merchandising and fashion branding and brand development. I think, you know, fashion is very expressive. I've been into fashion my entire life with modeling and the red carpets and everything like that. But as far as, you know, rewarding some and kind of naying others, risks are good. Risks are really great. If you're wearing a haute couture piece or you're wearing something that kind of pushes the envelope a little bit, I respect that, and I'll definitely give somebody an A or an A- depending on how well it's executed. But sometimes you can go too far. Like Lady Gaga, I think, is very good at pushing the envelope, but that meat dress from way back when definitely pushed it a little too far.
Was she making a statement about veganism?
She was making a statement about veganism, about just, you know, animal cruelty. There was a lot of messages that went into that dress, which I respect, but as a fashion choice, I can't imagine how that dress smelled. Was it
actual meat that was clad on her body?
It was actual meat, which is why I was very impressed yet very disturbed.
Imagine the people that have to sit next to her. And is she a vegan?
I actually don't know if Lady Gaga is a vegan, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure.
I know she's got a big movie coming out with Bradley Cooper.
She does. I'm so excited to see that.
Is it a Star is Born remake?
Yes.
Bette Midler?
Yes.
I am wearing, for my own Mike Messier fashion sense, I do have
red, white, and blue socks.
Sort of socks. Yeah, I don't know if that's fashionable or just what I'm wearing. But anyway.
I dig it.
Yeah, I think that's the first time I've shown my socks on this show.
I'll give you a B+.
Oh, thanks. That's pretty good. It's
There you go.
Very nice, you know. Now, you did mention, this is more of a serious topic, but you mentioned it, I don't want to let this slip through our fingers here. You said you had your own eating disorder struggles, and that's kind of now when you do the swimsuit competitions and some of these pageants, that's kind of a victory for you. Do you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, for sure. So growing up, I was that little chubby kid with the unibrow, buck teeth, and everyone loved to make fun of me. And so there was points where I would get physically bullied, emotionally bullied, mentally bullied. And it wasn't just oh, like, you're fat, haha. It was very aggressive. I got death threats. I got very crude things shouted at me, threats to myself, my own security, my family. People took it really personally for some reason, and I wasn't really sure why they took it so personally, considering it was my own physical health, but people took it upon themselves. And so being as young as 12 years old, I didn't know how to handle that kind of pressure coming at me. So essentially I turned to weight loss, but not in a way that I knew anything about. So I just stopped eating.
Wow.
I slowly, I started with no more junk food. And then I was like, oh, I'm losing weight. I need to do something more. Okay, no more carbs, no more fruit, no more this, no more that. And it got to the point where I was literally eating one meal a day. That was basically nothing.
Wow.
And so my mom, bless her heart, would always bring me to the doctor, the pediatrician at the time, and be like, she's not eating anything. She's not doing this right. Like, I understand her wanting to lose weight because she was a little bit overweight, but this is too much.
Too far the extreme.
And I am very stubborn. And I did not want to go to therapy like they wanted to send me. I didn't want to do anything about it. And so through kind of pageantry and through my own life experiences, I learned that this wasn't something that was healthy. I was only hurting myself.
Right.
I ended up doing research where I developed amenorrhea, which means that because you are so thin, you don't actually get a menstrual cycle. So when that started to happen to me, I realized that there were real physical repercussions that I was doing to myself. Down the line, it causes problems with your heart, and you can really damage your entire reproductive system. And I was just thinking for the moment of, oh, like, I'm fit, I'm trim, I look good.
And this is your 13 or 14
yeah,
at this point?
Yeah, this is probably like my 12 to 15-year-old self.
Right.
This all kind of started slowly and then just kind of nosedived.
Jeez.
So in high school, I met some really great girls who kind of helped me and really accepted me for who I was. And so that really got me in a better place. And then when I decided to actually enter the Miss Connecticut Teen USA pageant back in 2015, that was my first experience with swimsuit. And so I went to the gym in a healthy way. I worked out. I was super strong, super fit, and I looked really great. And I ended up winning actually that year. So I went on to Miss Teen USA, and that was the first time that I really understood what being healthy and being fit and exercising was about. It wasn't about starving yourself. It wasn't about being this thick, skinny, perfect figure. I mean, I'm not Gigi Hadid. I love Gigi Hadid, who is a Victoria's Secret model and is absolutely gorgeous. But she's probably like 5'11" to 6 feet tall, and I'm just not, and I'm a little bit bigger of a build, and that's okay. There's beauty in all kinds of builds. You don't have to be 6 foot, you don't have to be 5 foot. You just have to accept who you are, and you have to do what's best for you, and you have to remain healthy, not only just physically, but mentally and emotionally as well. Well
said. The women's, I guess, lack of a better term, but acting, modeling, for years, there's been controversies, even women's gymnastics, and I think there was some controversy with women's gymnastics years ago about the coaching and how they these young women have to stay very muscular and compact. But I mean, if the body is growing, it's hard to fight that. So the pressure sounds incredible.
It's true, and especially when it comes to gymnastics. I have a friend who's in gymnastics, and I might not have my facts straight here, but I believe she was telling me that you can't become an elite gymnast until a certain age now,
right,
because of the demand on your body, and it can inhibit your growth and can really kind of damage your body.
Well, I'm glad you came out the other side of all those issues, and it's a shame that bullying is still going on and all the PSAs and all the after-school specials and all the celebrities who say don't bully other kids. Mm-hmm. People are still bullying, and it's really frustrating to see that hasn't changed. But good for you for surviving through that, because it's just it's nuts what kids do to other kids. It's really horrible at times.
It's crazy, but you know what? People always, when I speak about it, like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry that this happened to you. And I literally look at them and I'm like, don't apologize. This is what's made me into who I am today. I embraced my past. Was it the best part of my life? Absolutely not. I was miserable. But I embrace it. It's a part of who I am, and I wouldn't be who I am today or confident in myself or able to go ahead and speak about this to educate other young women and men, because eating disorders affect men as well, and be able to share with them my experience and hopefully help them through something as well.
A friend of mine wrote a play about male anorexia, and The Scarecrow it was called, and it was my buddy Lenny Schwartz. And I saw that play 3 times because you had 3 different actors play the lead. You know, he did this play several times. Getting back to you and your career, I think it's great, everything that you're doing.
Thank you.
Anything coming up, like any websites or any ways that people that see this might want to contact you for some possible work or some type of gig or?
For sure. So all my social media handles are at Real Savannah G, Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, everything. I do have a blog right now, and it's therealsavannahg.com. So you can check me out there, and there's a contact form up there.
What do you write about?
I just kind of write about whatever I see coming up in my life. You know, being in college, you see a lot of things, whether it be good or bad, or just kind of issues that you see in the world that you want to address. I actually wrote a blog on teen dating, or dating in my generation, which is an interesting topic because I feel like things are becoming so much more complicated now with like Tinder and open relationships and, you know, friends with benefits, as opposed to, okay, we're friends, we're in a relationship. And I feel like sometimes the lines can be blurred, and I feel like, I don't know, I'm very old school, so I really appreciate the romanticized idea of dating.
Do you think that online dating, the emphasis or the concentration on that is kind of warping people's perspectives on relationships?
I do, because I'm not necessarily a believer in dating apps or Tinder. Like, you will not find me on any of them. I don't think that there's something that I would want to associate myself with.
Sure.
But I think that it's just so easy now for people to, you know, be in a relationship, and instead of working through it or fighting through it, they're like, oh, well, I'm done with you. I can just swipe right to somebody else who looks similar to you and probably is better than you. You know what I mean? Instead of staying with somebody and saying, I value you, I want to work on things with you. I feel like my generation doesn't want to work for relationships anymore. They just expect things to happen, and if not, there's always someone on their app that's just as good, or if not better.
And do you think people drop relationships now via text, or or they just show up on a picture with somebody else?
I have been dumped over text, and it's not fun.
Well, unbelievable. Now, this is a bad segue, but we're running out of time on this episode. I want to ask you, do you have a mantra? Do you have a mantra, Savannah G, that is something that you live by, ethic or expression or a phrase that you want to share with the Messier Mantra audience?
Sure. So my mantra is the mantra of the feather. Though it may be flowing through the wind, it always goes where life takes it, and it always lands where it's supposed to. And that's how I live my life. And I think that's why I've ended up doing so many different things, and I kind of have like my little tentacles all over the place like an octopus. And I never say no to an opportunity or to a new experience, because I always feel like everything happens for a reason, and my feather is going to blow me where I'm supposed to go.
Well, you ended up here in Seekonk.
I ended up right here in the midst of a hurricane. We are here. We're the remnants of one.
Thanks for you coming up and braving the storm.
Thank you so much for having me.
It shows your professionalism, and it's just the photographs are very exciting. So I think you got big things ahead.
Thank you. Fingers crossed.
Say the entire name for me one more time. Savannah
Giammarco.
Giammarco. Very good. Savannah Giammarco, thanks for being on this episode.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thanks to our guest, Savannah Giammarco, on this episode of Messier Mantra. We'll see you next time.